Let's hear it. All right, you guys. Internet! What up, Internet? What's going on the Internet today? What's going on the Internet? What's happening on the Internet? Whoa! What's happening on the Internet today, everybody? How you doing? What's going on? We have audio today, and it's working. I'm going to turn the preview off over here. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Thank you. You goofy machine. All right. These goofy computer machines. Computer machines. Oh, my gatos. All right. First and foremost, what up? First one to the chat, even though I've been opening the chat earlier. Frank Dominguez, number one in our hearts. Number one in our charts. I'm going to have to paint him a You're the First to the Chat painting someday, because winner of all the it doesn't matter when I start the chat, his notifications are turned on, and he is ready to bust into the chat in a very legitimate way, and we appreciate it here. And when I say we, me, and that camera stand right back there. Yes, me and that tripod. We appreciate it. We appreciate it very much, you guys. We appreciate Frank Dominguez, reigning first to the chat champion. Oh, you know, we hope he never gets dethroned. But to continue on, Chris Thompson is here. What's up? He's ready to get a lot of information on some of the plants you actually have in your tank. Hey, we like that. The Plywood Pelican is here. Oh, V-Stag. What up, V-Stag? Met V-Stag in person this last weekend. TC Guppies is here. What's up, TC Guppies? That's a new name. I haven't seen that before. But Phil Emerson, long time, first time. What's up, Phil? How you doing? Nisi, our moderator of the North, up there in the chat, dropping rules on people. We like it. We like it when she's dropping rules on people that misbehave. Right? Right. We have many other moderators here, and we'll slowly roll through them as time goes on. They're the people with the little wrenches next to their name, right? Like Carson Anderson. Este Glez is here also. How much have I missed? Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that. To the early chatters, there's always stuff going on, which is great. Let me see. Frank Dominguez also has a special place in my heart because his avatar is actually of a chimpanzee wearing a zip shirt and happens to be smoking a cigarette, which I do not recommend to anybody out there. Don't do that. Bad news. Especially chimpanzees. Don't smoke. But literally his avatar picture is a picture that I used in a zine, punk rock zine, if you guys have ever heard of anything like that. It was a thing that you printed out on paper and you handed it out anonymously to people. In 1994, I actually used that exact same picture. It's from a textbook. It's from some kind of textbook back in the day, in like the 50s or something. It's a black and white picture of them doing terrible experiments to animals, which is awful. But that was the whole context of that portion of the zine, was like animal rights and stuff, and the crap that we do to people, or the crap that people do to animals is terrible. But that's, it's many years ago. Nowadays, you could just Facebook it, right? Your outrage. You could be outraged, and you could just face page it. It's a lot easier. Back then, I had to pay for copies. You know what I mean? I had to go out and put nickels and dimes and quarters into the printing machine, or I allegedly have never done this, but allegedly in the past, we would break into the school's copy room, which may or may not have ever happened. I don't know. Utilizing the school's copy machine to spread propaganda to the masses, right? Is it worth it? I don't know. It was tax dollars, I guess, so maybe it's not the worst thing ever, because it was educational, so who knows? Let's keep giving some shout-outs here, though, to Barbara Jackson. What is up? Ashton Fitzgerald is here. Hey, FU2 is here. You can only stay a couple of minutes, but you can drop by and drop off a like, which is overwhelmingly important, I guess, these days, to hit the like button. We like it. It's pronounced Chippashock. From your boy, Wushu Jimmy Brown is here. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Tim Lewis, Dank Tanks, of course, Turbo Fish. It is nerdin' time, you're right. Cichlid Nez, what's up? Kang Lee. Met Kang Lee this weekend, and I'm live on the internet. Met Kang Lee, also met CNH Aquatics, I think. Kyle Paith is here. What's up? That's one of our patronizers. We dig that. Speaking of patronizers, we have Mary Beth Mabe, who kind of changed the game in the patronization. She wanted to do $1 a month for the whole year, which is cool. So she did a $12 one-time patronization, which totally creative and a great way to go about it. And I totally forgot to shout her out yesterday because she's in a weird column on the when I try to do the patron shout-outs. It's getting huge. The Patreon is getting bigger and bigger. And to those of you out there that are not 100% enthusiastic about me droning on about the Patreon, I get it. And me trying to shout out all the names. Well, today began the task of manually putting everyone into a video segment. So I thought it was going to be ridiculously easy, and I will tell you something right now. It has turned into quite the little endeavor to try and get all that stuff so that it looks good, makes sense, and everyone's name is spelled right, because I can't copy and paste anything, believe it or not. I can't copy and paste anyone's name just off of the form and then into there. So, long story short, it's a CSV file, so I either have a clickable link or I have a nonsensical psychobabble kind of file that doesn't make any sense, and a bunch of like ambersands and dollar signs and tildes and all the weird things on your keyboard that you normally type in when you're frustrated and you're doing the false curse words. It's like that with someone's name and then a whole bunch of it and then some more and someone's name and yeah. So it's a process, and it's still working, and I hope to have it finished for Monday's show, because as was pointed out to me in a couple of messages over the last few days in regards to the Patreon, in regards to whether or not somebody's sponsoring the show, or talk about algorithms or YouTube or any of that kind of stuff, I get it. That might not be the number one thing that people show up for, but if I talk about the algorithm, that's because we're on YouTube. It has something to do with where we're at, right? It does affect, or affect, whichever way you want to put it, it affects what we can or can't do here, right? Because we fall within the YouTube's rules of what they want done on their platform. And honestly, if I had 100 million patronizers or whatever, I would launch my own YouTube. But we don't, so we have to stay here. And there's a bunch of stuff, ins and outs, that keep going on. And I try to share those with you guys. And hopefully you guys appreciate the sort of open dialogue that we have going here, that I try to let you guys know what is going on, what's happening as the things go along. But as was brought up to me, that it kind of sounds like I'm in it for the dollar or whatever, and I should just go get a job. I do look at this as a job. I work at it all day long. I work on all this stuff. As a matter of fact, I lose a lot of sleep, and I do work jobs. So if that has been some kind of mystery to people in regards to what's going on, like tomorrow I'm going to go load and fuel semis. I'm going to go do that in the morning, load a semi truck and fuel it up and get it ready for a long trip. There's not really much more manual labor that you can get than that. I'm going to be doing that tomorrow so that I could come back here and try and do the show by 4 o'clock. So then that means I got to stay up tonight, get all the production done for tomorrow's show. Then Friday, I'll be heading off to go do a bunch of other manual labor to help pay the bills and that kind of stuff. So to those of you out there that think like, oh, hey, man, this guy's just screwing around doing whatever, this and that, kind of burning it at both ends here, trying to keep everything going. And to anybody out there that's like, hey, man, I have a manual labor job, kudos to you guys. I appreciate everybody's hard work, all the patronization that's coming in. I am also contributing all of my money to this to try and keep this thing going. And I try to stay as positive as I can. That I know it pissed off some people over time here and stuff like that. I know that a bunch of people got pissed that like, hey, am I supposed to pay for your vacation to go out to Chicago? Well, you guys definitely helped pay the credit card down, but that was all footed out of pocket, and I look at it as work. I was gone for 5 days. That means I couldn't go load any trucks, repair someone's electrical, run plumbing for anybody, and try and make money. I could either be the homeless live streamer or keep trying to rock it this way, and that's what's going on. So I try to be full disclosure with you guys about stuff that's going on, things that are happening. And if people don't like that, sorry. I don't know what to tell you. That doesn't sound rude. I don't know what to say that doesn't sound rude, and it's not intended to be rude. So hopefully that kind of clears up some of the mud that has been going on in regards to that kind of stuff that people have been sending me messages. And like I said, I don't ever name those people that send me these messages because it's ridiculous. But I will address them as they come in. I feel like I've helped kind of open the airways with other avenues to communicate with me. Like you can go to darkstararts.com and you can email me there. You can also, you could direct message me on YouTube. You could also go to the Patreon page and message me there, or post in the community post there, which is one of the reasons that we're doing the topic today of Anubias and Bucephelandra. That is coming from the community post on the Patreon. Now, I forgot to click it, have it ready over here. All right, but this one came from Steven Skoglund. This is what we're going to be working on, what we're going to be talking about during the show today, and I'm also going to show you guys how to plant and move some stuff around in your aquarium. And we'll get to Steven Skoglund's question here in a minute because I want to catch up with the chat. But hopefully we addressed any of the kind of weirdness that's been coming in. As you guys say, don't address the haters or whatever, but I feel like if somebody takes the time to send me a message or whatever, most of them have been pretty, they haven't been like mean, if you know what I'm saying. It's not like, I hate your face, you suck. Most of them actually have been pretty constructive, actual constructive criticisms. But I also, so the reason for that is that if people send in a message that's just a bunch of hateful stuff, I don't address it. But if people send in a constructive thing, I feel like it kind of makes sense. Like, all right, let me address this because other people might be having those questions or thoughts or complaints or any of that kind of stuff. So, but let's say what's up to the chat here. Kevin Keener is here. Roger Deadham, what's up, buddy? Big Pedrouse dropping the internet. Aquarium Co-op is here. Nathaniel John, hopefully my daughter will actually let me watch this tonight. No. How old's your daughter? Is she little? If your daughter's little, tell her what to do. If she's really big, Yeah, maybe just listen to her. I don't know. She's a 7-foot center for the Seattle Supersonics. Then maybe listen to her instead. But if she's a little tiny kid, maybe they're just crying or something. I don't know. It's interesting. I'd like more information, Nathaniel John. Let's see. Hadn't had a chance to watch yet. Let's see. Fishy Mailman can't stay today. Got to meet some family that came into town. Have a great show. I'll rewatch later. Oh, the Fishy Mailman. Good. Glad to hear your family's in town. That's awesome. I love that. Mary Beth Mabe says the audio is fantastic today. Well, there's a lot of work going on over here, and hopefully I'll be able to I'll be able to pass on the work that's been going on here in the office on Monday, probably. So Monday will probably be kind of a technological mind freak here in the studio office, whatever this is being called, this area. But we got some new equipment in. I'm just going to be handling all of the audio from the future on here, and I'm waiting for some specific parts from the Amazon guy, which means he'll probably show up at the best part of the show here and start knocking on the door and kicking things off of the deck or whatever they do when they're out there that makes the dogs freak out. So we'll see. Hopefully it'll be here tonight so I can keep working on the rewiring and all the nonsense that's going on in here. But like I said, I'll give you guys a behind the scenes probably Monday would be my guess. Unless I have some really cool fish tank stuff happen over the weekend, which currently right now feels like water changes and maintenance. So I think that's I'll probably hold off on doing much of that video stuff probably for like a Tuesday, and then we can probably talk about how you guys do maintenance, how I do maintenance, why the maintenance is important, why it's not important, all that kind of jazz, right? So hopefully we can razzmatazz as things go on. Oh, and we got a super chat from Michael Faulkner, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. So let's say hi to everyone else here real quick. Aquarium Co-op says, I heard he has 17 cell phones. That's right. I think Frank Dominguez says, I think Frank Dominguez has like 20 or 30 cell phones, I'm guessing. And I heard a rumor that he actually lives in my attic. And honestly, one side of my attic I'm kind of freaked out by, so maybe he is actually in there. He might be in that side of the attic. Maybe one of these days I'll find out. Maybe I'll find out if Frank Dominguez is actually in there or not. I do hear weird ghost sounds from time to time. Maybe he's a ghost. Let's see. KG Cichlids, got to get back to work. Have a good one. All right, buddy. Sorry you have to go back to work. Sky Astara, I just wish it had been able to get into the Patreon situation when you were giving shrimp drawings. Sky Astara, the shrimp paintings have come up a few times, and I really am looking forward to doing more shrimp paintings. So I would hold your breath for 12 seconds just to get the feeling what it's like to hold your breath, but don't hold it until the shrimp stuff comes out, the shrimp paintings and all that kind of stuff. I would just rest assured that I will be streamlining getting out shrimp paintings, shrimp art. Let's call it shrimp art. I will be streamlining getting those out to some people moving forward. So never fear. That is on my list of things to do. I'm currently right now working on designing a couple more paintings and stuff like that. I'm really just trying to fit in time to get to it. Though Vicky and I are planning on some really cool shrimp art stuff that will be way cheaper to send out to people. The biggest issue was realistically the shipping cost became absurd with shipping out the canvases, just because they're not an envelope. So we weren't able to get like the envelope rate. So what I'm going to end up doing is doing some, and I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but there will be custom shrimp stuff going out to a lot of people. We're probably going to do like 100 of them, right around there. So never fear, that stuff is on the agenda, and we are working out the kinks to get ready to do that at some point fairly soon. I'm hoping next month when it's super, super dark out and we don't really have much to do outside when Vicky gets home. We will be, what's the word? We will be working on those projects in the evening when it's super dark out and we're not like going out in the yard. I mean, it's already getting dark right now. It is 4:20. It's 4:20. Yeah. What am I, 5? It's like 4:20 right now, and it's starting to get dark outside. So that stuff is happening as we roll down the line here. But they will be cool. It will be cool. Trust me when I say that. A polygon is a many-sided figure. Oh, all right. CSVs are awesome. Michael Tet. Michael Tet. I don't know if I say Tete, I think people might think I'm saying something else. So Michael Tet says he loves CSVs, and I don't like them. I don't like them personally, mainly because I don't have Excel on my computer here. This one, the other one getting set up over there does have one on it. Does have Excel on it, but last thing I want to do is pay for Excel right now when I just basically never use it. So let's see. Marybeth Mabe, your time is equated by the endeavors you choose to partake in, physical or mental. You earn that respect and admiration. Oh, thank you, Marybeth Mabe. That's very nice. Don't feed the trolls more fish talk. Estiglez likes my website. Jim Meeker is here. What's up, Jim? Says, yay, Boos. So let's see. Inspiration and entertainment, when both are good, they are worth the cash. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And now we have super chat action from Michael Faulkner, which I do like his avatar too. It's kind of like a pirate. It's like kind of a cool like pirate hat guy with an eye patch and a beard. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong. I think it's a pirate guy. I've been wrong before. All right. He's got a 125-gallon Hap and Peacock tank, Fluval Aquasky lights, tried Anubias and didn't go well. Is there a more hardy version, and any other tips with these fish? I would say that I've never used the Fluval Aquasky lights personally, and Haps and Peacocks I'm not huge into personally, but they are kind of violent fish. I mean, realistically, they are pretty well, violent I guess is the wrong word, just kind of aggressive with stuff that is in there, and would most likely they could have been the culprits as to doing a lot of damage to them. I wouldn't say off the top of my head that they necessarily did anything or didn't do anything, but them being Malawis and stuff like that they more often than not, in my experience, tear up plants, rip them out, like tear off roots and things like that. It's just kind of in their nature to like clear out the area. I mean, they're always digging around in the substrate, that is for sure. But I would imagine that pretty much any kind of standard Anubias that you would find out there, so nothing that is kind of a weird, like a starburst or a white one or anything like that. So nothing that's really, I would say, like a delicate Anubias. So I would look for something like a Copholia or something like that. Some of the bigger ones that they probably wouldn't be so quick to mess with. And then I would glue the rhizome with onto a big rock. That's what I would do. I would glue that on there, and then probably get that rhizome down and kind of hide it a little bit so they wouldn't be able to dig it out, because they will more often than not like dig things out. I know that in the past when I did like Java ferns and stuff like that with the cichlids. They always tore them out, and that's one of the things why I'm not a huge cichlid guy. And it sounds like I'm being Mr. Poopy Pants or something, but I'm not a huge cichlid guy in that way. With the more aggressive cichlids like that, because they typically will tear out a lot of plants. They'll tear up the plants and mess stuff up. High pH is not a problem with plants. I've done a bunch of experiments. Let me rephrase that. I screwed around with a bunch of setups that were high pH, and they didn't have a real problem growing plants and stuff like that. So, and with like the bioload that's typically in a cichlid tank, there normally is fertilizer available, especially for like a heavy root feeder like Anubias and stuff like that. So I wouldn't have been super concerned about the fertilizer. My guess would be that they would just be getting mangled so much from the fish. That would probably be the culprit from just your, just your description of what the tank was and stuff like that. All right, so this is from Steven Skoglund over on the Patreon page. If you haven't been to the Patreon page, run over there, check it out. We are blessed with the fact that we are up to... Oh, hold on. I want to make sure I don't misquote what's going on here. Hold on. With 109 patronizers right now, currently today, after losing some and gaining some, which is cool. We've got some new ones. We got some new ones today, and we lost some people, but evens out to 109 subscribers, which is amazing. Subscribers, patronizers. That means that people are kicking in $1 a month, $10 a month, whatever you guys feel like. If you haven't checked it out, this is a great place to post stuff up onto. You can post pictures with what your questions are and that kind of stuff, which is awesome, because one of the problems with the YouTube chat is like you could, if you do like a super chat, you're really limited to what you could post up there, whereas the community page on Patreon gives you an opportunity. You can post really as much information as you want in regards to your question. You can post a couple pictures up there. Obviously nothing crass or crude, because it will just get deleted. There's plenty of places for that on the internet. That doesn't exist here, and if it does, it doesn't exist for very long. So, that would be the one limitation, I guess. But whatever, like I said, there's corners for that if that's what you're into. So this comes from Steven Skoglund on the community on Patreon. Is I got a bit of a problem here. Some of my Anubias ended up getting rhizome rot. Is there any cure for it, or anything I can do to try to save what's not rotting yet? Any suggestions will be helpful. Thanks. Okay. Now, Anubias rot has been going on for a long time. No one that I've ever spoken to or been able to do any research behind really knows where it's coming from. As it's been explained to me from certain people, is that, it's a disease and we don't know how to cure it yet. Some other people have said, it's conditions from moving conditions and shipping them around and this and that and the other thing. It's a condition issue. And there's been more hypotheses or theories or whatever you want to call them in regards to the rhizome rot. Now, the only way that I've ever been able to deal with it is to cut off the rotten part. So get a little bit aggressive. If it's all like, if my finger is the rhizome and it's rotted here on the end, you'd want to cut it like right there and cut off the rotten part. It's pretty easy to tell if it's rotten or whatnot, because it goes brown and it looks rotten and it starts to fall apart. So you want to cut that nub off, right? Essentially the part that doesn't just fall off and slough out into the middle of nowhere. The part that doesn't slough off, you'll just have this little nub in there that's kind of brown and gross, and you need to kind of step ahead. It's kind of like treating a gangrenous arm. If your arm is rotting from here, you have to amputate here to make sure that it's not going to spread into your heart. So that's kind of what you need to do, is lop that off. Now, the next step that you need to do is go ahead and do a peroxide dip. There's many different kinds of peroxide out there. Let's just talk about the 3% peroxide that you typically get at the drugstore. It's normally 3 or 1.5%. It's in a brown bottle to keep the light out of it. The light will mess with it. So the light messes with peroxide, right? Do we got that? That's why it's in the brown bottle. So we're looking for the brown bottle at the drugstore that you normally get. Grocery store, bodega. I'm always confused as to the overseas. Whenever I say drugstore, I forget what they're looking for. Pharmacy, I think. If you're like in the UK or something, I forget. But essentially, just go to the store that has like food and other stuff and like medical supplies, if that confuses you. It's typically already watered down, but you're going to have to water it down further. Now, I would love to give you guys a specific measurement, like 2 tablespoons per gallon. I eyeball it. I really do. I just eyeball it. It's peroxide. It's really not going to hurt anything to, with air quotes on it, overdose into the mixture of water. Essentially, what I do is I just grab a 1.5 gallon little tub, fill it up with water, and then I just dump a good amount of peroxide in there. Is that a douche move or whatever? Maybe. But the bottle of peroxide costs $1.79 at the store, and it's a pretty beefy big bottle. And the last thing I want to do is under peroxide, right? I want to make sure I sort of sterilize the plant. Now, it really only takes about 5 minutes into the dip to really do whatever it is that's happening. As I said, most people don't know what the Anubias rot is at this point. This is sort of, once it's already rotting, you're sort of just hoping for the best at this point. So if you were going to dip into the peroxide, what's the worst thing that could happen? This plant could die. That's probably going to happen if you don't dip the damn thing. So, okay, that's the reason I don't measure. It's really not that important. And if you want to measure, I'm sure you could Google. A whole bunch of people will tell you all these different measurements. I just eyeball it. I just go like a glug, 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 glug. Cool. Not a big deal. Like I said, it's also not a big deal. It's not. It's hydrogen peroxide. It's not super toxic. Unless your tank is like half of a cup of water, you're not going to have a problem. It will just dissipate, and it's not that big of a deal. Kevin Keener already has a question right now. What were you dipping with tea tree oil? I dip my what's that word? I dip my corals in tea tree oil, and a lot of time I'll dip my plants when I get them from somewhere. So when they come in, I'll do a tea tree oil dip. It actually works really well for knocking off any pests or any of that nonsense. It knocks down the bacteria. You could do a 2-step process if you were super paranoid. If you were like a super paranoid crazy person, you could do a double dip, like you could do your tea tree oil and then peroxide if you want, but this is kind of specifically for the Anubias. It's the one thing that I've seen that really has a chance of working, if that makes sense. I'm not giving you like 100% guarantee, because nothing's guaranteed in this world, my friends, except gravity and the sun, I think. And those aren't really guaranteed either. We'll just be dead by the time those have a problem, right? Sky Astara says, please be careful with peroxide in your tank. I nuked my whole tank with it last month after doing weeks of research on it. Yeah, that's why I was saying do this in a bucket outside. Don't do it in the tank. Don't go dumping a bunch of peroxide all up in your tank. That's not a good idea. What I'm saying is whatever's residual on the plant from dipping it in a separate container is not going to affect anything with your water volume. But you don't want to go squirting a whole bunch in your tank. I know that people do peroxide. They do peroxide for algae and stuff like that. In my opinion, if you're going to do that because your algae is that bad, just take the stuff out, dip it in another container, and then put it back in. That's going to be your best bet. It's weird to like drain your tank and squirting peroxide all over the place. It's just a little bit weird to me, and it sounds like a lot more work, honestly. Especially whenever I've seen anybody doing it. Seems to take a really long time. You're bent over it's nonsense. So that's why I was saying, like, do this in a separate container, and you'll see a lot safer, a lot better result. And hopefully that answers Steven's question to a certain point. Let's see if everybody else probably has some questions at this point. Chris Thompson, yes, I did just that after putting the rhizome too far into the substrate. That's right. But I'll also show you guys some planting techniques for like the Bucephelandras and explain that if you want to put them into the substrate, because that is what we'll be doing in the video portion coming up here. And hopefully I'll be able to explain that to you. Yet another reason why we do the live stream, because some people go, oh my God, I have so many questions. What is happening? And we'll be able to answer that as to the best of my ability. I can't necessarily answer every single question I get here. I'll try to. I really try to, but we do run into the hour mark where it will be time to shut down. So, in lieu of that, I'm going to run through these questions here. Then we'll have a quick talk about our sponsor, which should hopefully only take 30 seconds today. Let's see if I run super long again, and then we'll go straight into the video portion. Let's see. Glass boxes, I mainly have peacocks, but also pseudoflavus and some baby altas and frontosas. Oh, nice. I do like them. I do like, to anybody out there who thinks that, like, maybe I hate cichlids or any of that kind of stuff, I like them. I just don't personally like taking care of them. It's like a bull mastiff. That dog is awesome. I don't want one, though. You know, I don't want one here pooping in my yard and doing all that stuff. I do want a blue heeler again, and Vicky was sending me pictures of a blue heeler puppy that is for adoption locally, and she keeps tempting me with calling it my Christmas present. Tugging at my heartstrings. Where's Mr. Chips? Did anybody watch the Mr. Chips video? I don't know. Did anybody watch it? Did you guys like it? Did you guys like hunting for the Chippy McChipperton? Hopefully people liked that video. I thought it was kind of fun. I was like, I'm going to upload this. So let's see what's going on here into the chat. Yes, that actually sounds like oh yeah. Let's see. Mix with some shrimp, vitamins, and some green peas to get a more firm, and then I freeze it. Oh, I like that. I like that. Speaking of peas, by the way, if your dog, peas and dogs and fish, oftentimes feeding frozen peas to your fish is very helpful, very, very helpful. Oftentimes feeding frozen peas to your dog is very helpful, very, very helpful. They will eat them if they're frozen. Just a little hot tip to you out there. I call them puppy peas, and the dogs love puppy peas because they're frozen. They love the frozen flavor. Whoops. Probably unplugged the mic and ruined the whole live stream. Sorry about that. I was just trying to move this thing. Yeah. There we go. Let's see. H2O2 can nuke. I dissolve tea tree oil in super alkaline water first to create a solution. Yep, that is a great point, JH. And if you guys haven't checked out JH Aquatics channel, you should. He does the aquatic news, which is dope. I love it. And I got to hang out with him quite a bit. I got to hang out with him quite a bit at the aquatic experience, and I will tell you, he's a straight-up cool dude and an exceptionally good-looking guy, right? He had that strong tan game going on in November, which made everybody super jealous, except for the fact that his house got blown over by a hurricane. That was a slight problem. Can anyone confirm that Melifix stuff is just tea tree? It's not just tea tree. It does have an emulsifier. It does have an emulsifier in it that does make it a lot easier to, mix with water, which is a really important part. But the active main ingredient in it is tea tree oil. Oftentimes, I'll buy the tea tree oil off of Amazon because it's much cheaper than the Malefics. Right now, I actually, because I bought a system off of a guy a little while ago, he had a bunch of bottles of Malefics. So I actually just have some of that on hand right now. So I'm just using that until it's gone. But I love it. I love tea tree oil, and I love the Malefics. But that's the main thing that's going on in there, if anybody's wondering. Yes, it is tea tree oil. Look at this Dennis the Menace thing I got going on back here. And because this painting is back here, every time I move around, I think I got something stuck on my head, and it makes me seem like I'm super vain with my hair. Maybe I am. Maybe I am super vain with my hair. I have a standby. I have it on standby to watch. Oh, it was Sharktastic. Kevin Keener, thanks for the show. I got to get these Seattle people home. Go check out the Patreon people. It's a good place to post stuff. That's right. Check out the Patreon and post stuff up there. Joel is like, forget Christmas. I'm getting that dog right now. Well, Vicky was saying that she would essentially she would cover the adoption cost and all that stuff as my birthday present. But I think we have to sit down and kind of do a little powwow if we want another dog. We have 2 old dogs, and it might be a little bit weird to get a puppy right now, amongst some other things that are going on in our personal jams, which I'm excited. Oh, coffee, so delicious. It's my favorite thing to drink. Yes, I did. It was cute. Yep. He looks good in a suit. Oh, that's right, Mary Beth. JH does look good in the suit. Children also love frozen peas. All right. If I start dosing after Blackbeard has overtaken plants in the algae die-off on its own, or needs to be removed first? Nick, I'm not sure which Nick K is asking about some algae, and I must have missed something here. Or, if I start dosing after Blackbeard has overtaken plants, will the algae die off on its own or needs to be removed? Well, Blackbeard algae is actually really easy to get rid of if you're doing a triple dose of Excel every day for about a week. So whatever the dose is, so on the bottle of Excel, whatever the dose is for your aquarium, for the whatever it is, like once a week on the bottle, triple that and do it every day for like a week for Blackbeard algae. It will turn red, and then all your fish and stuff will eat it. Then it will turn gray, and it'll be gone. The best advice I can give anybody for Blackbeard algae, because it is a super pain in the buns to try and get your water quality correct once it is already established. That is one of them that I would recommend a chemical treatment on your tank, and not fix whatever your problems are with your water quality. That is the one that I will always say you can do a chemical treatment, because that is a chemical treatment that will not affect either your shrimp. I did that treatment in a tank full of about, I think at the time, about 800 crystal shrimp. Okay, 800 high-grade crystal shrimp. So do the math in your head, how expensive the critters were in there, and how fragile they are for water conditions. When I put the air quotes around there, fragile water conditions. Just to give you an idea, everyone was fine. Blackbeard algae turned red. The shrimp ate it, so all their little poops and everything were all red for a while, which was hilarious. They all ate it and just annihilated it before it even got a chance, and then just the last little bits turned gray, because once it turns red, they can eat it. So if you, for instance, like my 150, if you have a bunch of cherry shrimp in the tank and a bunch of Blackbeard algae, you could go through that treatment, and the cherry shrimps will eat it up once it turns red. They can't eat it when it's black. All right, so let's see here. Let's see. Mary Beth's asking the co-op a question. All right, speaking of the co-op, that is our sponsor for this month. If you are looking for plants, dry goods, fertilizers, any of that kind of stuff, head over to the Aquarium Co-op. As I said yesterday, I wouldn't join forces with anybody on an advertising level if I didn't know them, know behind the scenes, know what's going on. And I trust Corey. I would trust Corey to, as it were, hold my rappelling rope while I was going off a cliff, if you know what I'm saying, if that makes sense to you. And trust the guy. He's a great guy. One of the cool things that they do is they bring in all their plants, adapt them to water before they get shipped out. So check that out. I sounded super weird yesterday when I was like, if you want fish, they're not the right guys. They are the right guys if you can physically go to the actual store. They are definitely a great place to go buy some fish. They do not ship them. They do not ship fish, but they ship everything else from live plants and all that kind of stuff out. Be sure to check out aquariumcoop.com. Very, very, very reputable, cool business, cool people. 2 thumbs up from this guy, and definitely definitely appreciate those guys. And Sashimi Whiskey with a self-promotion. Oh, self-promotion. Jiminy Christmas. What's going on here? Sashimi Whiskey posted a Chicago video, which is dope. I would recommend go check that out, too. Also, check out the Aquarium Co-op. If you haven't seen his videos on YouTube and stuff, I'm sure most of you know who Corey is, so go check it out. But Jimmy's Chicago video is amazing. I will do some Chicago videos at some point in time. Right now, the market's flooded, so I'm making other videos because I'm just a dingleberry like that. But let's move on to the video portion because we are 46 minutes in. So let's get to it. Hopefully. But just so what I'm doing in the tank right here right now is just trying to give you guys an idea of what it looks like. Whoops. And of course I paused the video at the stupidest spot. Hold on, this is not very handy right now. That's not a very good shot. Let's see. What do we got here? Come on now. There we go. Okay. Let's pause it right there. That's a good spot. And then where's the whiteboard? Oh crap, I don't have the whiteboard anymore. All right, well, either way. Hopefully you guys, this can give you a shot of what it's like. So essentially when you get an Anubias in and it's probably been in the rock wool, there's not going to be a whole lot of roots and stuff going on that you're looking for, right? And if you guys have been following along for a long time, you remember me sticking this Anubias in the back of the 240 and just left it back there. And why was that important? Because I wanted to just stick it in a spot where I wouldn't have to yank it off, mess with it, break it, or anything like that. And get... and allow these roots to kind of grow down, allow it to establish to my tank. This one actually came, I forget where this one specifically came from, but it was non-adapted. It was sitting in the back of a tank. It was really not in the best shape that I've ever seen an Anubias be in, but needless to say, it was a great spot to go ahead and just stick it in the back and let it fill in and let its roots grow and allow its roots to kind of adapt. And then my plan was to move it to a new location. The Anubias isn't really going to be that big of a feature in the 240, but it is going to be a big feature within the 150 gallon. So you'll see me today actually move this from the 240 over to the 150 gallon. I did a quick dip on this, but I obviously didn't videotape that portion. As we come through the video, you'll notice that I didn't do that portion, which is really stupid. Mainly, I set my camera up and I hit the button, but I didn't hit the button, apparently. Or I thought I hit the button, and then I didn't hit the button, which is an ongoing issue because I feel like I keep losing shots when I feel like I hit the button, but I didn't hit the button, and then I didn't check to see if I hit the button. So I think what I need to do is not get better at hitting buttons. I need to get better at checking if I hit the button or not. So let's see. Chris Thompson says, I'm so jealous of people who are able to get fish from Aquarium Co-op. Just the thought of being able to get fish that has already been quarantined is so mind-blowing to me. That's right. That's one of the fantastic things about the Aquarium Co-op guys is that they quarantine all that stuff. They quarantine those plants before they ship them out to you. So check that out. If you can go there in person, It's not the biggest store you've ever been to. It's a pretty small store. It's pretty, efficient. Realistically, you get to see a lot of stuff though. If you do go there and check it out in person, like physically. But you can go online and order all the stuff that you're looking for. Plants, fertilizers, all that kind of stuff. You can definitely check that out. So, no, I'm a day's travel and 2 ferries from Vancouver. It would be like a 3-day round trip to Seattle and that border. Yikes. BC. Okay. It's tough being a Western Canadian. I can't order from anywhere south of the border. Yeah, I understand that. I know that it's pretty difficult to get stuff up into Canada, and I wish I had a better person to refer you to. I'll double check. I'll see if I can find somebody. I know some guys in like Ontario, so let me see if I can send a message off to those guys and see who they recommend up there in BC. So, needless to say, I'm on it, sort of. We'll see. We'll see if I get anything back. Time for a weekend getaway. Yeah, that's pretty far. Let's see. No experience. Ron M. Ron. Why did I say Ron? Juan M. Ruiz. I was mixing the R and the J around. Says his experience with the aquarium co-op fish is the best. Oh, that's awesome. Tim Lewis says move to Washington. We don't have that kind of population up here to support online vendors. BC, there are online vendors I know that they're in like Ontario. But like I said, I'll send out a message to some of my Canadian scaper buddies and see where they're getting stuff from. If I can't answer that question for you. All right. So, as you can see, the roots have come in real well on this plant. It actually flowered. It's got a flower on it, which means that it's probably most assuredly getting enough CO2. If they start flowering like that, that normally means that they basically think they're up in the air. They start flowering, and it's good stuff. Let's see. Ronnie Cole. Oh, my bad. I thought I heard my name. What's up, Ron? I said Ron instead of Juan, so I don't know. And then this was a really difficult shot for me to get with my camera. It's kind of the best I could do today. I'll try to get a better shot of it. But there is a little Anubias runner in the back there now, and I'm going to let that one grow. I'm just going to let that little piece grow back there and allow another plant to emerge and grow up and not have to worry about it like making my scape look all weird. It'll just be back there being tiny for a long time. There isn't much advice that I could give to people that would say, here's some magical way for your Anubias to grow really fast. In the past, one way that I got away with growing Nana Petite pretty quickly was... is I would blow CO2 directly out of the tube into a pump right at the Anubias, and that would kind of supercharge it, but I wouldn't recommend doing that, A, in a display tank, or B, in any tank that you really have, like, anything cool going on in. So you could probably do that in, like, a fugly tank somewhere that maybe you have it in your garage or something. You could do that, but... realistically, you just got to be a little bit patient. Just make sure you got the right amount of light, a good amount of CO2, and some nice water, and they'll grow. They will. It just takes time. As you can see, some of this Anubias, just to the left of the one that I'm sticking in there is the Nana Petite. The one that I'm adding in right now is an Anubias Nana, kind of standard size. It's a little bit on the smaller side. I think maybe, I don't know what name you'd give it. It's not petite. It's just normal. It's just like average, it's just like 5'11", just like average height. It's not super big. It's not super small. It's just average. So it just gives you an idea of the size between the two. Sort of the average Nana like that would be maybe like a $50 size, maybe like a 50-cent piece right around there. And then the Nana Petite's more like a dime or something, if that makes sense. And so, Barbara Jackson's asking, is that Barteri, Barteri? No, it's, Nana. Nana. Anubias nana. Barteri is just a different Anubias. So just to give you guys a little bit of background on... Whoops. So the video's going too fast. What are you doing? I had to speed up the video. Sorry, guys. I had to render it in time. That's why we were 1 minute late. I had to speed it up to double time and then render it super fast. But just to give you guys a quick little rundown on Anubias. Anubias can exist in a pretty wide variety of temperatures. That doesn't mean run your tank at 95 degrees just because they might be okay. But 70 to 85 is generally totally cool with almost all of the Anubias. I wouldn't say that there's a real specific temperature. pH is a wide range with Anubias, and here's an easy way for you guys to recognize generally like the pH variance for plants would be to think, well, how thick are these leaves? Are these leaves super thick? Then generally you got a pretty big range. I know I've kept them all the way down at 6, and I've also kept them just a little over 8. So that is a pretty wide pH variance that they can handle. They are in the same family as Bucephelandra. They're in the same Araceae. I don't know. I don't know how to say it correctly. I should probably look that up one of these days. But they're in the same family. The genus is a little bit different, but they're all kind of the same relatives, even though they come from a wide variety of areas all around the world, whereas the Anubias pretty much comes from a small area in Borneo, which I'm trying to remember if Borneo is in... Is Borneo in Africa? Where's Borneo? Nope. Borneo is in Indonesia. Like, is it in Africa? Nope. It's in Indonesia. Cool. I was real close, you guys. Geography wizard over here. But Indonesia is where most of the Bucephelandras come from. I believe there are some from South America also, but it would be... I'd be remiss to say that there are for sure. But they all kind of live in the same kind of wide variance of... temperature range versus pH range, all that kind of stuff does not need to... You do not need to be like super anal about your pH range or your temperature or any of that kind of stuff. They will definitely adapt more or less because they're a very hardy plant. Oftentimes these plants grow in an area that will flood half of the year and then be dry half of the year. They will be low growing plants, so they won't want a ton of light to be hitting on them, so you don't want them to be just getting blasted by straight up crazy light. And you just don't want to stick them directly under a light. You just kind of want them in a kind of diffused light area. They definitely need light in order to photosynthesize, but don't just be blasting light on them. And the main reason for that is the aesthetic reason. They will still grow under a ton of light, but there's a disadvantage is they will grow algae just like your glass. They'll grow algae just like your glass if the light's just shining right on there. And it's much more difficult to clean the algae off of these leaves because the leaves last for a really long time on this plant. As I said before, they're kind of thick like a house plant, and they'll last a long, long time. So if they have a ton of light hitting them, they will grow algae all over them. And as I said before, it's super difficult to clean the algae off it without kind of screwing up the plant. So that would be the reason you don't want to have them in a direct ton of light. As I said, they'll still grow just fine, but the leaves will get all covered in algae and be all nasty. So let's see. CJ Black, does pH affect how well plants utilize nutrients? I know that there's been some hypothesis in regards to that. But we, in the aquarium world, in freshwater aquariums, don't have a pH that would really affect the plant's uptake. You have to get in some extreme pH that would just essentially kill the stuff if it was in it. To really get to that point, anything within the range of 6 to 8, which is pretty much where anything freshwater is going to survive, it's not going to affect the plant's uptake. It really was one of those things that was sort of like a myth that sort of was bouncing around for many, many years, that if your pH was out of whack, your plants would die. And I think from where a lot of that comes from, I think had to do with old gardening wives' tales, like old gardening wives' tales, like as far as hydrangeas and stuff like that, that if your pH is all out of whack, your plants won't grow. So in my experience, I haven't found a pH range that would essentially keep things alive, like shrimp or fish or anything like that, that realistically would have caused a problem. Now, I know there will be a lot of people confused as to what I am doing with this Bucephelandra as I am planting it into the substrate. Now, I need to explain myself why this is a little bit different than what you would normally see out there. When I got these Bucephelandras here, and these are kind of just, and I keep saying Bucephelandra, but I believe it's Bucephelandra is how it's supposed to be said. Bucephelandra. Bucephelandra, I believe is how it's said. But I keep saying Bucephelandra because I only read it. Never heard anybody say it. But then I look up the pronunciation for it, and it's Bucephelandra, like a cafe. Bucephelandra. So hopefully I'll be able to figure that out, and maybe people will understand what I'm talking about. I don't know. Because they'll be like, dude, I don't know what this dude's saying. He's saying wrong stuff. It's wrong words. It's ridiculous. Covfefe? Covfefe? But this is kind of the standard green, the green one. It might turn purple. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one this is 100% because I just got these little trimmings in the mail. It looks like Kedagang, as far as I've seen, which is sort of just the standard kind of green one. And I've seen a lot of variations that keep coming out, but I think a lot of the variations may or may not be photoshopped. I'd really like to see them in person, or somebody send me a raw file in regards to what's going on. But the confusion that may or may not be going on here, because you guys are seeing me plant the roots here. Those of you that have been following along for a long time, I made a sort of a Bucephelandra tree feature that went into the 240. I ended up being unhappy with it over time, mainly because it just wasn't going to grow in fast enough, and I just ran out of patience for it, and replaced it with a big giant piece of driftwood that is in there. We'll be getting to that probably Monday or Tuesday next week after the office rewiring nonsense. So what I did was I glued these all, and you saw me pull them out of the sump there. I glued these to the side of a big piece of driftwood that was mounted to a piece of to the side of that piece of driftwood. And now over time, these have actually sent out some really nice roots. As I said, I got these as trimmings, right? So basically the top portion of the plant was clipped off, stuck in a bag, and mailed to me, which is fantastic. And very big thank you to Crispy Aquascape. I don't know what happened to Crispy Aquascape. I haven't seen him or her. I'd say him or her. I don't know. Crispy Aquascape has not been around, but that's who I got them from. And very much thank you again from wherever Crispy Aquascape is. I don't know what happened. I hope everything's okay. But so with no roots coming off of these because they were a trimming, sticking them into the substrate would kill them. It would have killed them. They would just melt and die away. We'd just end up having a problem. But because now I have these long extended roots, basically what I'm doing is I'm just planting the root portion and I'm leaving the rhizome above the substrate. I know it's difficult from this camera angle to really kind of see exactly what's happening, which is why I'm trying to explain it. That I'm planting just the roots and I'm leaving the little rhizome portion above the substrate. Give it a good opportunity so it doesn't essentially get smothered and whatnot. Jeff Wilson is saying, yes, pH affects the bioavailability of nutrients to plants, but like he said, the pHs have to swing very low or very high. It mainly affects farmers. Yes, that's what I was talking about in regards to, that was more or less an old wives' tale in regards to the agriculture, like hydrangeas and my mariposas. The pH in the soil's bad. And yes, the pH in your soil is a much longer conversation that I would love to have at some point in time. I'd love to get some farmers on this, and more of that stuff later on. And then we got some little fun just around the tank shot here, just to give you kind of an idea of how they look. This cherry shrimp cockroaches are everywhere in here. And just to give you an idea how this kind of looks as things go together here. Now we have to wait a few months for these Bucephelandra to grow in and get more established, and hopefully start spreading like wildfire, and then I can start planting them into other tanks. That's the goal. Keep spreading them plants. That's like my favorite thing to do, is just keep growing and keep growing and keep growing, and spreading them out, making them more pretty. Speaking of plants and making them more pretty, we got to get to the end of the show here, and I'd love to have played that video again. Maybe I'll do a quick voiceover and upload it as an independent video. We'll see. Do you take cream with that sugar and coffee? You're right, I do. I drinks my sugar, or how's it go? I drink my sugar with coffee and cream, right? The Beastie Boys. Nick K, he was also a chef and a while, and thus practiced out of water. Oh yeah, my mad tweezer skills. Yeah, my mad tweezer skills is essentially from being a chef for years and years and plating stuff with tweezers and stuff. So, let's see. CJ Black, my pH is 7.6 and my Valsneria seems stunted. Thanks, Joel. Trying to figure out why it's not getting taller. Depends. CJ, the first things I would look at, the two things I would check with your aquarium is, do we have enough nutrients availability, and dependent on those lights. And I would depend on those lights, what you got going on there. If you have a really high light with Valsneria, it won't grow super tall, in my experience. Always have to put that little caveat on there. But I'm not a huge fan of Valsneria. It bugs the crap out of me, so I don't normally plant it in aquariums because it just grows up all tall and gangly. But people like it, and it's a dope plant. It grows really fast. So if you're looking for stuff that grows super fast, let's see. Take a moment to, Nisi says, please take a moment to support the show. If you got time and you got $1, you could support this show. Those of you out there that have chimed in, you put your question in, and maybe I didn't get to it. A great way to do it is roll over to the Patreon, put in $1 or $2 on there. It's $1 or $2 a month. You could do more if you want, but you could do $1 or $2 a month on the Patreon, and you can always post your community questions onto the Patreon, into the community section on the Patreon page. If that's confusing to you, there's links in the chat right now. You could go check that out. Which leads us to the patronizers. We got a brand new patronizer during the show and 2 new ones today. So let's say howdy to them real quick. Jorgen Therkildsen. Therkildsen. It's a super hard name. It's clearly Scandinavian. $10 patronizer. Thank you very much. That's a big time. Sean Peck, aka Peck Tech Tanks, with the $1 super chat. Patronization. Alyssa Jackson with the $1 Patreon, and Daryl Dimer during the show. Daryl Dimer with the $1 pledged up on there. Thank you very much, guys. All that goes back into here to buying equipment, buying gas, buying I would say film, but it's not film. It's like SD cards like these. Constantly having to get more SD cards. So when I say film, it's like, no, it's SD cards, you know. Batteries, new broken tripods fixed. I need a new lens one of these days soon here. My drag and pull on it are starting to break, so I'm going to have to order one, and I am not looking forward to that, if you know what I'm saying. Ordering new lenses, new glass is crazy for a camera. It's brutal. I'm just gonna say it's brutal. But let's run through the patronizers here real quick, and of course I don't have that pulled up. You guys got a little bit of an extended show here today, mainly because I've just been rambling on like a maniac. So I hope I don't forget anybody. What is going on here? What's all these, like, message retracted? What's happening here? What's going on? If you're happier and you know it, retract your message. Okay. What is happening? Why are all these people retracting their messages? What happened? But either way, we will... now everybody's doing it. All right. I get it. I get it now. Y'all's jokers. I get it. Okay. I was over here like not even getting the joke. Okay. But let's start at the top. At the very top, Eric Gone Mad at $49.99 a month. It's crazy generous, and thank you very much. Some people find it worth it. Right quickly up on his heels, Steven Skoglund at $44.65, and this is hard to sort through because people have changed their stuff, and it's hard to sort through the list. Difficult to explain, but if anybody gets forgot, it's not on purpose. Let's see, Barbara Jackson with the extended pie at $31.41. Cute Nicks at $30. Oh, I guess maybe that never went through. I don't know. It says 0. I don't know. I guess we'll find out the hard way, right? All right. So Bracken Ward at $24.99. Thank you very much, Bracken. I'm sorry I forgot you yesterday. Aquarium Co-op, Vince Grippa, Kieran Egan, The Fishy Mailman, Longwoo, all at the $20 mark. Thank you very much, you guys. It's big time. It's big time. And starting down here at the $10 club would be at $15 is Tim Lewis, Iris Booth, and Joel Gillett. Thank you very much, you guys. That's super generous. And with today's brand new, Jorgen Thergilsden. I can't find that hard to say. I'm going to have to look that one up and figure out how to say that properly. Jesse Stenner, Ashton Fitzgerald, Wyatt Ward, Sashimi Whiskey, Stephen Innes, Karen Halbert, Juan M. Ruiz, Doug of the North, Miguel Cam, Jim Meeker, Candy Overhauls, Eve Deigel, Jeff Myers, Kyle Paith, Pax, Denzel Gregory, Nick K. Aquatics, Rob Hicks Aquariums, Matt Gilmet, Jack Betts, Cichlid Bro, and M. Den Hollander, along with Shaun of the Dead, Jennifer J. Sargicino, and Pamela Earlywine, all at $10. Thank you very much, you guys. Especially people like Jennifer J. and Pamela, who have been around a long time, and amongst a whole bunch of other people that have been around for quite a bit. It's crazy awesome, you guys. Down here in the $5, we've got, starting off with Olympia Shrimp Shrimpery, Alexandru Radin, Laney NP, Shelby Waters, Ryan Connolly, Meow Aquatics, Michael Hoffman, Ryan Brown, Classic Aquatics, James Hirsch, Frank, Catherine Ann Robideau, Dennis Ballard, Theodore Schultz, Addison Nishijima, Kevin Hayes, Gene Fensky, and Mary Meth Babe with the one-time $12. Totally cool. How's that go? It's like rewriting the script or something. I don't know. All right, I had nothing witty. I don't know. At $5.55, we've got Jeremy Brown, and at $5, we got Kevin Green, Malini Victor at $4, Gary Brown at $2, and then starting off the $1 club, we've got Daryl, Alyssa, Sean Peck, Kyle Daniels, Matthew Fish, Sherry Orniston. That's a new one. Ormiston. Ursies 57, Elizabeth Rogers, Dana Grimes, Howard Meyer, maybe, Bentley Pascal, Melissa Byers, T. Frakes Tanks, Chad Johnson, James Dye, Lisa Cree, Cassie Summers, Colin Davis, Sydney Erickson, G. Cunningham, Eric Eriksleben, Ryan B., TJ Kelly, Famous Jones, Debbie Clayton, Chris Cuse, Devin Arsenal of Color, Douglas Medlin, Caroline Epler, River Life, Ian Van Natter, Wyatt Hickson, Derek Runyon, HC Aqua, AMA Aquatics, Dean Feldman, Mike Faulkner, Brendan Wallet, BC Fishroom, Sandaman, Sandman, Christina M., Allison Berger, Teresa Cookie, Spencer Ballard, Priscilla MK, Thomas Domchek, and 3D Reefer, and Matthew. Thank you very much, you guys. If you guys head over to the Patreon, you will see that I am patronizing 6 new Patreon accounts. Feel free to check those out and patronize them. I'm looking for 4 more candidates to patronize. I want to get up to 10. And hopefully I want to be patronizing 10 channels. I've only found 6 that I really want to patronize, so maybe you guys got some recommendations for me. Go ahead and throw those into the inbox. And everybody out there, don't shoot off any fireworks tonight. Even though it's raining out, it's still dangerous and ridiculous, and it freaks out my dogs, and I don't like it. All right, later. Has anybody seen that button around here? Oh.